Hey kids, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about getting started and getting started with things in your life and making changes for the better, and how you can do that when you are facing depression, when you are facing physical limitations, when you are facing just an insurmountable amount of stuff in your life. Okay, so that's the PG-13 version of it. Oh, sorry. So I got my notes here, and I gotta hold them up because I'm gonna show you a couple things. It's like a little graph here, but I want to talk to you guys about how we can start loving life again and how we can move forward. For me, there were several different things that I had to deal with. One was my addiction to energy drinks and sodas, my addiction to sugar, my addiction to just all that stuff. That was the big one. Then there was all the opiates and benzos and all those other things that I had to come off of. Everything was really difficult because it seemed like I was trying to fight all these different fronts, all these different battles at once, and I couldn't fight any of them effectively. And sometimes I would get something that I thought was going to help, and it did for a moment, and then it ended up not helping. For example, when the doctor first put me on medication to help me sleep, I slept through the night, but then I needed pills to help me wake up. Sometimes the things that you think are going to be the best thing for you are not. So I've devised this little system, and it's not perfect because I'm still working on it, so I would love your comments. But basically, it's the idea, and it's kind of like a video game, okay? So you need to make your character, your avatar, which in this case is actually your physical body. You're going to start building it out, okay? So you are going to start creating your avatar. That sounds fairly easy, I would assume, but it's really not. So here's how you start, okay? So I have some notes here, and I'm not going to really go over these. Maybe I'll get you some images, but think of yourself as three parts: one part spiritual, one part physical, and one part emotional. And then think about your vulnerabilities. That's your weaknesses, okay? You have to have those. So those are your four character traits. So write those down: spiritual, physical, emotional, and your vulnerabilities. Your four character traits, three of which you have control over. So, spiritual. How do you create a strong spiritual HP, hit points or whatever, health points? Well, you do that by getting close to your spirituality. If that's church, go to church. If that's reading scriptures, studying cultures, find out what your spirituality needs to be. Two, physical. Well, when one of your goals is to lose weight, for me, it's almost 100 pounds. I've lost 50, got about 30 more to go, and I'll start feeling good. For me, that seemed impossible. So I just started one step at a time. So as you start sliding these bars, and then your emotional health. So sometimes your emotional health and your spiritual health combine. And unfortunately, the weaker you are physically, the harder it is to get through your emotional stuff. So what do? Well, you have to work on all that stuff. If you're single, find relationships that help you, not relationships that hinder you, or relationships that are one-sided, whether that's one side your way or one side their way. You need to find relationships that are healthy. If you're married, you need to help your relationship grow and get healthy. And if you say, well, I've got a great marriage, good, keep working on it. You can't stop working on a marriage. It's one of those things, it's an everyday thing. If you have a weak marriage, work on it. You guys can do this together. So then I kind of think of it as a video game. So I was like, well, I'm doing pretty good spiritually. Physically, I've got some goals. So, if I'm breaking myself up into three parts, I'm going to say like I'm about 15%, physical. Spiritually, I'm, 45%. Anyway, break it up however you want. But that will hopefully give you kind of a goal, okay? So a goal for your own avatar, yourself, your real self, not your fake avatar, but your real one. And this is an important part. This is the most important part. You have to have a vulnerability. Every superhero has vulnerability. And maybe that is your education, maybe that is your children, maybe that is your lack of an ability. Whatever that vulnerability is, you need to put that in there, account for it, and then start working towards getting rid of that vulnerability. We're always going to have something that we're not good at, something that's going to be scary, something that's going to be hard. But if we work on these other things, that's it makes it kind of easy because you at least have a place to fall on to. Being physically strong, being mentally strong, being spiritually strong, being emotionally strong, you usually can't be all those at once, but you can keep working at it. Once you kind of figure out who you are and what you're working with, let's start writing your goals. So there's a difference between a goal and a dream. A dream is something you're only going to attain while you're sleeping. A goal is something you're going to work towards. And while you're working towards that goal, you're going to fail. Promise you, you're going to fail. And it's going to be glorious when you succeed. I can tell you, having ran a few different businesses and having moved a lot and done a lot of things, there were times that I just broke down in tears because I thought I was doing the wrong thing, or I just messed up, or I just completely took too much of a risk. And luckily, I've had a partner right beside me saying, no risk, no gain. Well, we've learned that you don't have to take the dangerous risk, but you still have to step forward and be willing to take a little bit of risk if you want to succeed. So think about those goals. Goals are things that you want to attain, the things you desire. Needs are stuff you have to have: water, food. Wants are things you can get when you get what you desire. So keep yourself situated. Figure out who you are. Go to a church, read a book, build your avatar. And, that's it. Who are you? Give yourself 10 points per attribute and go to town and then start working on those attributes. This is kind of a 1980s thing to do because, we used to grab our Transformers or He-Mans and they would have those attributes on the back. So work towards them. Video games, play, whatever it is. Live life like a child and you'll kind of understand the kingdom of heaven a little better. At least that's what this guy Jesus said. I kind of tend to agree with him there because my kids are beautiful and they show me heaven every day. So until next time, work hard, be kind, and have fun.